Hello, everyone. Welcome to Autodesk University. We are here live and it's all virtual, so I'm excited to be able to experience this with everybody. Of course, this isn't anything new to us, is it? We've been doing these virtual meetings for quite a few months, over a year now. So I'm excited to have you with us today for Autodesk University and our virtual meetup. I still see the numbers rising, so I am going to give everyone time to get logged in before we start. We don't want to leave anyone out, but while we're waiting, I want to know where you are coming in from. So if you could go ahead and place in the Q&A panel where you're coming in from. Kifi, I see you're coming in from Washington, D.C. Nice to have you. And ooh, it's going so fast. Let me slow it down. I have to move my scroll bar. Here we go. So Danny, I see you're coming in from Phoenix, Arizona. Joshua from East Texas. Nate from Denver, Colorado. Another Nate Baker from Minnesota. Lots of Nates here today. Bennett from Boston, Massachusetts. Andrew from Virginia. Charlie from Golden, Colorado. Got a lot of Colorado folks here. Keith from Maryland, Jeff from Missouri. I know I won't get through all of these. We have quite the crowd, and the numbers are still rising, so I'm going to keep introducing more people. Bruce from Vancouver, Washington. Michael from Halifax. Ooh, nice to have you. Another Canadian, Christian from Alberta, Canada. And Brian from Madison, Wisconsin. Another Colorado guy, James from Denver, Colorado. Noel from Virginia Beach. And our numbers, oh my, the numbers are rising so fast. I am going to give people a little bit more time. Ooh, stay out of that sunlight, right? I'll blind you guys. Let's see, Leo from Seattle, Washington, and Chris from Pocatello, Idaho, Brian from Saratoga, Florida, Matthew from Indiana, Beth from Delaware. Nice to have you. Actually, Beth and I are going to be in a roundtable together. So hopefully you'll get with us on the roundtable that's happening later on this week. It's going to be amazing. Michelle from Plano, Texas. Pat from Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska. Maxim maybe? Sorry if I pronounced your names wrong. I hate it when people do that to me, so I really feel bad when I do that to other people. But we've got Maxim coming in from Quebec City, Canada. Great. Matthew from Colorado. We've got a lot of people from Colorado. We've got some from Tennessee, Lincoln, Nebraska, Tampa, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina. And it looks like our numbers are starting to steady off. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. So I am Michelle Rasmussen. I'm the AEC Content Manager here at Autodesk. What does that mean? Well, my job is to make sure you have the learning content you need to do your job so that you can do it as efficiently as possible, go home to your family and enjoy life. Or I guess you're probably already home, depending on where you are. I've got some allergies happening, so. But we are here today for the Civil Engineering Community Meetup in conjunction with AU. So if this is your first meeting at AU, lucky you, it's going to be a fun meeting. Just to give you a little bit of background, just in case we make any forward-facing statements, which I don't think we will, I'm pretty sure we won't, but just in case we do, I want to make sure you don't make any purchasing decisions based on those forward-looking statements. So just make your purchasing decisions based on the software and the state it's in right now today, and not any future promises, because we can't always promise. We will try our best, but we don't always succeed. You guys know how that goes, right? I'm sure you've had that in your life. Before we jump in, the blinds are muted. That doesn't mean you're off the hook. We do encourage questions. In fact, this is going to be a very unique experience today. We're going to do 5 and 5. So we'll do a 5-minute presentation and 5 minutes Q&A, and then a 5-minute presentation, and then a 5 minutes Q&A, and keep going like that. We'll have 3 presentations total, actually 4. I've got my coworker Rachel Hartley here today with me. She's going to be introducing some things with the group network, which is very exciting. But if you do have questions, if you want to participate, you can raise your hand in the attendee panel. that will allow me to unmute your line, and that's the way we prefer. We like to have back and forth conversation, so I highly encourage that. And the other way you can ask questions is through the question panel. So that's why I had you put in where you're from in the question panel so that you're getting used to that. The meeting is being recorded, so a link to that recording will be sent out to everyone who registered for the meetup specifically. So if you had coworkers register and then weren't able to attend, then they'll get that link. And if you want to send that link to anyone who didn't know about it and you think it'll be beneficial, feel free to send that link on. So again, your lines are muted, but I can unmute you, and I highly encourage you raising your hand so that we can do that. So with that, let me bring up my first speaker. Rachel Hartley is with our group network here at Autodesk, and I'm going to turn the time over to her. In fact, Rachel, I'm going to let you present your slide deck. So I'm going to make you presenter really quick.
Perfect. Welcome, everyone. Let me start sharing my screen there. You're all able to see it. Great. Awesome. So it's so great to see you guys today. The start of AU, so exciting. I know I'm excited to learn so many new things and meet all of you. So I am the program manager of the Autodesk Group Network. So those of you who are not aware of it or might not know about this new network, this is what I'm here today to tell you about and how you can become a part of this new network. So let me first launch a poll, and I'm really interested, I think for some of you, you've been attending this meetup for a while, but if you're interested in attending any other future types of meetups. So just give you time to do that. And Michelle, will you be launching that poll for us?
Actually, have you launched it yet? I can launch it from my end. I don't see it up on the screen though. So which one do you want to start with?
Are you interested in finding other meetups and user groups?
Okay, there we go. All right, so I am launching that now. Hopefully everyone can see that. Please definitely let us know if you are interested in finding other meetups and user group. And I see 29% have voted, so we'll give you about 60 more seconds to put your vote in there. So we're at 69% who have voted. Great. I love seeing the numbers rise. So definitely keep, go ahead and click on your vote, get your vote in. So 77% have voted, and it's slowing down a little bit. 38 more seconds. %82 have voted. So if you haven't voted yet, get your vote in, make sure you're heard. This is how we know how to help you the most, is when you answer these. And 3 more seconds, 2, 1. I'm going to go ahead and close that vote. 84% of you have voted, and I will share the results there. So overwhelmingly, a lot of people definitely do want to participate in other meetups, Rachel.
Yeah, this is awesome. So it's great. Thank you guys for taking that poll. And the great thing and why I wanted to launch that poll is because there are opportunities to attend other types of meetups that are being hosted. And a majority of these are customer led. So introducing the group network is our global network of user groups, developer groups, and online groups that are across all of our Autodesk products and industries and technologies. So we have now 170 plus groups in the network. We launched last year at AU Las Vegas. 2019 was when we did our official launch, but we've been growing ever since then. And a lot of these are customer-led groups. We have about 70% of our groups in the network are customer-led. We do have channel partners leading groups, and this meetup that you're in today, this is a part of the network. So, and it's led by the lovely Michelle and her team. So it's all encompassing of all of these groups, and you can go, I'll put in the chat here for you guys how you can get to the website so that you can start to check out the groups that are in the network around your niche product or industry focus. I do want to touch on, what we aim to do at the Autodesk Group Network and the purpose of why we created this network on behalf of Autodesk. And ultimately, we envision a world where People connect in community to share knowledge and collaborate across firms and industries to improve the use of design technology and make a better world. So, when we started building this program, we built this with all of our existing customers that were already leading groups. They had been doing this sometimes for decades, and we wanted to learn from them. And we fully believe that this vision really aligns to why they continue to lead user groups and what their purpose is, what they are trying to achieve. But why did we form the network? How are we giving support to these customer-led groups or even employee-led groups? And ultimately, it's to underpin this community with the tools and resources that they need to continue managing their user group and make it easier to manage your group so that they can really focus on the value-added activities to grow their communities, reach more customers, expand their knowledge, network. The connecting and collaborating with other leaders is really important. So now when you join the Global Autodesk Group Network, you have access to a civil group in San Francisco, one in the East Coast or in Europe and Asia. So how can you connect with those leaders around the world, and what do those connections do for you? And then reaching personal and professional goals. There's a lot of career promotions that we've seen group leaders get because they've been engaging and leading in the user group space, and you're ultimately just advancing your knowledge with Autodesk technology. And lastly, adopting new and better ways of working, which I think we all are striving to do. So I think it's important that I point out that Autodesk is supporting without centrally controlling or owning any of the user groups in the network. This was really crucial when we founded the Group Network program. And ultimately, like I said, we're aiming to create deeper connections between groups, between group leaders, and with Autodesk. So I'll launch a second poll here. And Michelle, if you could help me out, it would just be if you've ever thought about leading your own meetup or online group community. I know a lot of you have been participating in this meetup as an attendee, but really curious to see, if you've had a desire or a passion to lead your own user group.
And we are at 40% who have voted, so I'll leave the polls open for 60 seconds or so. At 56%, great. Glad to see everyone is putting their vote in.
Rolling in much faster this time.
Yes, yes. We have quite a few more people in here than when we had the first poll, so I'm glad to see everyone joining. It's exciting to see the numbers rise. All right, we're at 75% voted. We'll leave it open for about 20 more seconds. So if you haven't voted, definitely click on your option there. Let your voice be heard. %, who have voted. We'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go ahead and close the vote. And let me share the results. So overwhelming, not a lot of you are really interested in being that leader, but maybe you'd be interested in still participating, as we saw earlier. So we'll try to, I'll get Rachel the results of this and let her know who was interested in leading.
Yeah, that'd be perfect, Michelle. And thank you all for doing that. And I think, it does, not everyone is interested. They want to be attending and finding these groups and participating. So it is great to see that some of you have already thought about it, but you're interested now. So I'll leave, with these closing thoughts as we wrap up, but there are multiple ways to become a part of the Autodesk Group Network, and you don't have to lead your own group. So if you do have an existing group, we definitely encourage you to add it to the network, become a part of the Group Network program. But you can join a virtual group, especially in this time as we're all connecting virtually and physical meetups haven't happened yet. But you can also find local groups near you. Often they're still hosting virtual ways of connecting until we can get back into that physical space and that environment. But you can, become a leader and start your own group. And we have resources and help and mentorship to guide you through that process. So we do have guides and people at our Autodesk Community Dojo, and I'll be putting that in the chat for all of you to see so that you can start engaging with all of our knowledge and resources on the Community Dojo. If you are very highly interested in starting a group and you visited the Community Dojo, you can email us at groupnetwork@autodesk.com, and I'll be there to start engaging with you, setting up one-on-one calls. We can connect during AU and even definitely after. So thank you all for having me today. It's been really great to introduce this program to you, and have a great rest of AU. And Michelle, I'll hand it back to you.
Awesome. Yes, I thought I was still muted, so I was trying to unmute myself, but I wasn't. So there we go. Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Rachel, so much for coming and introducing the group network to everyone. I think it's a very valuable thing because, you know, I've been in the learning industry for years, since 2000. I'm not trying to date myself, but I have been in the training industry for a long time. And the one thing I have learned is the best way to learn is through social. I mean, you know, going to a class is great, but until you can actually sit and talk to someone about what you learned, it doesn't get retained. And so we want to help you retain it by connecting you with others in your network, and this is a great way to do it. So Rachel, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, take care, and let's go ahead and go on to our next item. For those of you who have been joining our meetups for a while, you know that back in, oh my goodness, was it May, maybe June, I don't remember, we started getting people to submit their ideas on what they would like to present. So customers just like you submitted their ideas, and Michelle Hood was the one brave enough to submit her ideas. So I'm so excited to have Michelle with us. And let me go ahead and share my screen shortly. And so let me try that. Oh, not gonna let me. Okay, wait, hold on, let me fix this. Okay, so Michelle actually submitted several ideas for what to talk about at AU. And then in July, at the July meetup, we all voted on it. So what you're going to hear today is what you voted on. And the very top vote was all about knowledge is power. So this is a topic that I am it's very close to my heart because, like I said, I've been in the training industry for a number of years. But let me go ahead and introduce Michelle. So Michelle Hood has been in the AutoCAD and civil design business for 24 years, and she is amazing. She raised her hand to do this, and it is mind-blowing because a lot of people that join the meetups, they don't have the courage. So Michelle, first of all, I commend you on your courage. I love the fact that Michelle loves everything about design. I think that's amazing when you can love your job and do something that you're passionate about. As a young child, she would actually sketch out floor plans for fun. And so I love that you know, she's willing to share that with you guys. And then in high school and college, she was one of the few females in the drafting and design courses, but she didn't care. So I love that too, because I didn't care either. I was one of the few as well. So it's a great, and she spent 11 years designing model trains, parts, and accessories for major model railroad manufacturers. And now she uses AutoCAD to create isometric exploded part diagrams, or not now, but she did use that. And in 2007, actually, she went over to the civil side of design, where she joined JMT's water wastewater department. So with that, let's go ahead and run through her video on knowledge is power. So let me start that video up. And I am going to turn off my camera. Michelle, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing so that we don't interfere with the video coming across. And so sharing, I'm going to. Okay, and Michelle, can you let me know, are you seeing the video come up?
I see it.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to play this video on knowledge is power. And once the video is done playing, we're going to open up the lines and the Q&A panel for a 5-minute Q&A session. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Michelle Hood. Welcome to Knowledge is Power. I'm going to show you different ways to increase your knowledge with Autodesk software. Thomas Jefferson said that there can be no stronger proof that knowledge is power and that ignorance is weakness. We can't ignore the things changing around us. If we get complacent with the way things are, we're never going to grow. So, let's start learning. 2020 has been a year of learning for me. In January, I switched from a design role to a technical support role. With this new position, I had to learn a lot of things outside my comfort zone and learn them quickly. My response has been to absorb every little bit of knowledge I can get my hands on, and I still want to keep learning. I received this postcard from Andrea Jansen's Autodesk University class last year. One of the points she made was instead of running and hiding from change and sticking with what you know, you should embrace the challenges that are presented to you. If you venture out of your comfort zone and learn, things will improve for you and you will continue to grow confident in the things you do. I've taped this postcard up on my cubicle wall as a reminder to not be afraid to try and learn and do new things. Technology is constantly changing. It's okay to be a little afraid of it. However, when you embrace the technology and learn more about it, you will grow and be more efficient. So, how can we increase our confidence about new technology? There are many ways to learn, in person, online, or through our communities. Autodesk University is a great example of in-person training. In past years, this event allowed us to learn from experts and make in-person connections with our peers. Even though Autodesk University is virtual this year, we are all sitting in front of our computers and mobile devices, attending the same learning and networking opportunities. We can learn in person by attending conferences or pay for training given by certified professionals. Conferences have a variety of events centered around learning new things, checking out new technology, and meeting people in your field. We can also go to training centers to learn from certified experts. Training can range from a half day to several days, covering topics that are picked from a catalog of courses. Conferences and in-person training give you the opportunity to ask questions to experts in person. However, studies show that only about 5 to 10% of the information is retained by the student. If the new information isn't used quickly, most of the training can be lost. So it's important that you use that information you learn right away. Online training can be conveniently done anytime and anywhere. Training can be free or offered for a fee. In either case, be sure to seek out online training provided by Autodesk experts. Online training can come in the form of webinars or e-learning. Webinars are convenient tools for learning specialized topics in a half an hour to an hour. They have a range of topics from tips and tricks to project overviews. They can be pre-recorded or one-way presentations, and some are led by live instruction. Most webinars offer interactive Q&A at the end of the session. E-learning can be done on your own schedule. You can start and stop the process as necessary. Most certified training centers offer online training for a small fee. Autodesk offers free training on the Autodesk Knowledge Network and on its AEC webinar portal. Community learning is learning from one another and our experiences. Sharing our knowledge with each other helps us grow as individuals and form bonds with each other. One way we learn from others is by talking with subject matter experts or super users. By joining user groups, we can learn how others tackle similar design projects, discuss project issues, and meet with industry peers. Subject matter experts know their way around the software and often are the first to use it when it's released. They often train people on how to use the software and use it consistently for projects. For this reason, they are usually in high demand and very busy. User group meetings are held in major cities or internally within companies. At JMT, our user group has had internal presenters, and we've also invited Autodesk experts and trainers to show our users how to use Autodesk software. To find an Autodesk user group near you, visit the Autodesk Group Network website, where you'll find a global network of user groups and other online groups. It joins network leaders from across Autodesk products, industries, and geographies to share best practices. This has been formalized into the newly formed Community Dojo project, which I joined a few months ago. There are lots of great learning tools out there. Find which ones work best for you, learn from them, and then use the knowledge that you've gained. Your new knowledge will give you power in the form of confidence and control. The confidence gives you power to share it with others so that they can learn from your experiences. Control gives you the power to improve your performance. Remember, we're all beginners at one point in time. I encourage you to embrace learning about new technology. You never know where it will take you. Thank you for attending this presentation.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So thank you so much, Michelle, for pulling that video together. Again, I know it takes a lot of courage to do that. So I appreciate you stepping up and saying, yes, I will present. So let's bring it back and have a little bit of a conversation. Now, before we jump into that conversation, though, I want to address, we had a lot of people saying that there's no sound coming through. And I'm afraid that might be an internet issue, because I could hear and see the video fine. Michelle said she could hear and see the video fine. And so the best thing I can say is, check your audio issues, or check your internet connection, and then also check in the GoToWebinar panel, the audio panel. So check that, and maybe try seeing it come through the computer rather than a phone line, and that might help, I hope. We'll see. Okay, and oh my, it looks like we have reached the maximum number of attendees. That's exciting. Wow.
That's crazy. So.
Oh, okay, so only the first 1,000 people can view our webcam. So if you're not seeing us, I apologize, but we definitely have more than our share of attendees. So this is the first time we've reached this amount. So awesome. Anyway, so I want to hear what you guys thought of Michelle's presentation. And what I'm going to do is, I see a few people have raised their hands, so we're going to start there. We'll go to those attendees to add some Q&A to this. And I'm going to set my timer, otherwise I'll let us go way too long. Okay, time is now started. And so Ishmael, I'm going to unmute your line. Ishmael, can you talk to us over the, and it looks like you're self-muted, Ishmael Hernandez. Okay, no, oh.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, Ishmael. Awesome. What's your question for Michelle?
Well, no, I think I clicked the wrong button. I just was letting you know that the audio was perfect for me. But since you mentioned about the video, I definitely love the fact of going outside of your comfort zone. It's definitely one of the reasons that makes you learn the most, is when you're most attentive and you're more receptive. So definitely that has worked for me when I was always stuck to AutoCAD and I venture into Revit. I don't know other people's experiences, but it was definitely when I learned the most. So that's just my experience.
Excellent. I love that you shared that experience.
So thank you for that.
Thanks, Ishmael. Okay, I'm going to unraise your hand. Let's go to Benson Crowell. Maybe I said that wrong. Crowell? Benson, I've unmuted your line. Are you able to unmute?
Trying. Okay.
Hi, Benson.
We hear you.
Great. So one of the things that I realized, I've been doing this for a long time, and back in the early 80s at the Hartford user group, there was whole different levels of expertise. And it's really funny is that the really beginning people would have to be, we'd really had to put them off to the side, because the advanced people were really kind of part of the development of the software. Is there levels to user groups so that you're not getting into a user group where they're asking questions that are way below? I mean, I know that there's a point where you need to be able to, give to the community, but sometimes it gets a little old. So is there levels of user groups?
I don't know that they're set up in levels, but I will say this about sharing your knowledge. When you attend a class, if you are just listening and watching someone present, you're only going to remember about 29% of what is said. When you add some exercises to that, where you actually try what's being taught, you're going to remember closer to like 60%. But when you actually start teaching other people, it raises that level of retention to 90%. So that's why instructors are so knowledgeable, right? Because they're constantly sharing that knowledge over and over again. So the reason I mention that, I know that, you know, sometimes it can be frustrating to go to a user group or a presentation that, you know, that is presenting things that you already know. But if you're willing to jump up and share your knowledge, you're going to retain a lot more and learn a lot more. So that's just my opinion.
Right. And well,
Michelle,
I agree with that. I've set up classes in New York and Boston and Chicago and down in Texas, and every one of my classes was set up so that in order to graduate, you had to teach. And so I understand that, and I will not argue with that in one bit. But there's a point where you're saying, I need some information. Who else is doing this? And it's usually a high level stuff that no one else understands. And what I would like to see is I'd like to see a user group that are people that are pushing the envelope a little bit, and they're doing things with the software that no one really thought it could do. And so that's just where I'm coming from.
Excellent. Rachel, do you have anything to add to that? Tell us a little bit more how you're running those groups.
Yeah, I was going to add that we do see, and so in the group network, like you mentioned, you know, that's what we've observed as well, is you'll definitely have, especially when new technology comes out, the more like pick and click, like this is how you do it. But we do have a really large set of our groups that are pushing those boundaries and having those higher level industry discussions. In the network, we really encourage groups to include a group statement so you can get a feel for like the types of discussions that they are going to be having at those meetings, and then you can understand. So, you know, some of our top groups in the UK and across the States and are having those industry discussions or trying to get involved in projects that are, you know, within municipality or government, changing industry standards, really stretching the bounds of what's possible and less right in the nitty gritty with training in the software. So I think there is a really good balance. It's just finding those groups that are having those discussions or people within that you can break off and have those discussions with.
Yeah,
Okay.
and all the best user groups actually encourage that networking. Like they'll do a presentation and then encourage the networking, and those are the ones you want to get to because that's where you'll gain so much value. And that's what's hard for me this year with AU being virtual. We're not getting the immense networking we usually get face to face, but hopefully this will give you some of that.
Well, what I'm excited about is that local groups usually don't have the resources. There's only one or two people doing it. And it's not like Silicon Valley where everyone's together and they're doing something that's never been done before. With the national group, there's an ability to find people that are doing what you're doing and be able to network with them. So that's good. So I need to do more of that.
Good. Well, excellent. Well, I'm so glad you're here with us today, Benson. Let's go ahead. We've got, actually, we are at time for this Q&A. So I'm just going to read off very, very quickly a couple of the comments, and I'm going to lower everyone's hands there. Sorry if we didn't get to your questions or comments, but a lot of people are saying they agree with the comments that have been made so far. Sometimes a higher level discussion on the Autodesk forums is great, so thank you, Newman Stark, for that comment. Forums are a great place to go and network as well, so go out and find those. How do we find these groups? So this has been recorded. The very beginning of the presentation, Rachel introduced that. And so I want to go ahead and move into the next presentation, which, as you can see, is going to be all about organized chaos. And again, Michelle's going to, Michelle pre-recorded a video for this, and so I'm going to play that video. And so Michelle, I'm going to have us both go off of our cameras so that we don't interfere with the video or the audio. So hopefully everyone, before I start this next video, if you're not catching the audio portion, check your internet settings, check the audio settings in the GoToWebinar panel, because some people are hearing it, some people are not. So it to me sounds like it's more an issue on your side. If you don't catch it though, everything is being recorded. We'll post these into a site and I'll make sure you have that link afterwards. You'll get an email to the recording as well, so you'll be able to watch this again later. So with that, let me go ahead and share the next video. Organized chaos. And Michelle, tell me, are we seeing that video?
I see the splash screen in the beginning, so.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and start it, and tell me if you don't hear audio. Maybe I'm going to start it. Let me try that. Hi, I'm Michelle Hood. Welcome to Organized Chaos. I'm sure everyone here deals with different challenges while working in a multidisciplinary, client-driven environment. I'm going to help you face those challenges and avoid chaos. Organized chaos is a contradictory statement, but it's a coping mechanism we all use as we try to find the balance between the organized and the chaos. I can't think of a better example of organized chaos than the year 2020, where we've all had to adjust our lives due to a global pandemic. I can't think of a better example of organized chaos than the year 2020. I can't think of a better example of organized chaos than the year 2020, where we've all had to adjust our lives due to a global pandemic. I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can
how has everybody dealt with it?
And
we've rolled with the punches. As coronavirus spread across the world, we've had to make adjustments. I can't think of a better example of organized chaos than the year 2020. I can't think of a better example of organized chaos than the year 2020. Okay, that is not working. Michelle, I hate to put you on the spot like this. Are you comfortable enough running through those slides briefly from your machine? And Michelle, you are muted. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you
Michelle?
now, yeah.
I heard it start to move on after like the third time it said the year of organized chaos. So I don't know if you want to try it one more time, or if
I
you
will
want
try
me to
one
go ahead
more, yeah.
and. I can't think of a better example of organized chaos than the year 2020, where we've all had to adjust our lives due to a global pandemic. So, how has everybody dealt? Oops, it is completely hung up and not playing at all. So let me stop sharing the video and I'll try sharing it one more time and see if it will work. If not, I might have you share your screen, your slides. Okay. Where is it? Okay, let's try it one last time. Hi, I'm Michelle Hood. Welcome to Organized Chaos. I'm sure everyone here deals with different challenges while working in a multidisciplinary, client-driven environment. I'm going to help you face those challenges and avoid chaos. Organized chaos is a contradictory statement, but it's a coping mechanism we all use as we try to find the balance between the organized and the chaos. I can't think of a better example of organized chaos than the year 2020, where we've all had to adjust our lives due to a global pandemic. So, how has everybody dealt with it? We've rolled with the punches. As coronavirus spread across the world, we've had to make adjustments to our personal and professional lives. We've set up offices in our homes so we could still get our work and schooling done. We've been wearing masks when we go out, and we've maintained a social distance. And in between it all, we've tried to maintain a balance so we don't lose our cool. These coping mechanisms can also be applied to how we adapt to chaos in the workplace. With change management, each company and organization must think about how it would like to go about the changes it is going to make. We need to think about how rigid or flexible the changes will be when creating standards. Should they be more rigid or should they be more flexible? So, how do we find this balance? The same rules can be applied to workflows and setting up standards, especially in offices with multiple disciplines using different versions of Autodesk products. My company, JMT, has over 35 disciplines within 40 offices scattered throughout the US. Some offices are discipline-specific, while others have multiple disciplines under one roof. If our standards were polar opposites, it would pull our company in different directions. And maybe you face the same issues at your company. So how do we align them? Like an onion, standards can be complex, have many layers, and even make you want to cry. By putting everything together in a layered approach, helps them all work with one another. The core or base set of standards contains items such as a standard font, company title blocks, callouts, and core layers. On top of these core layers, you then add in layers specific to each discipline to create a more comprehensive set of standards. By using layer filters, each discipline can be set up with specific layers, line types, and colors. We want to limit the choices we make for an easier selection. If there are too many layers and line types to choose from for each utility, work will never be consistent. It also will make it hard to decide what layer property settings you should use. This makes decisions confusing and drawings will look inconsistent. Everyone here knows that chaos never works. And when chaos is present, we always think to ourselves, there's gotta be a better way to do this. Standards provide us with that better way, and they're also required to help us organize our projects. They are the foundation to get our design work done more efficiently and consistently. It is important that our standards are easy to follow and the design team can find files easily. You should always include your design team in the process of creating standards. This is going to help you find out each discipline's needs and what components are needed for their projects. Even if the standards change between disciplines, it's best to find a minimum base set of standards that serves as a foundation for all disciplines. Set up the file structure to try to find the middle ground between organized and chaos. If files aren't well organized, it will prevent you from finding what is needed to get the job done. Time spent looking for files in multiple places is inefficient. The goal is to organize files in a centralized folder structure so they can be accessible to everyone. By laying things in a way that makes sense to everyone, you can find things easily and transition quickly into production mode. When working with different disciplines, try to find common ground and organize file folders in a similar way, and one that works for everyone. The best thing to do is make it as simple as possible for everyone to find what they need. Without documentation on how to use standards, they will not be used properly. The standards will have mixed results and may even fail. You need to create a manual and make it easy to digest, or people will not want to use them, or may use them improperly. Standards should be firm, but not completely rigid. To keep standards relevant, look at the manual and files at least once a year. Make any revisions to the standards so they better meet the needs of all disciplines. Also, make any required changes due to software updates. We can subtly enforce our standards and minimize chaos by slowly getting rid of old templates and encouraging people to stop using past projects as templates. Also, it's important to have management buy-in for easier adoption. Adding in workflows will help you do your work using the same processes. That way, if anyone else were to pick up a project at any point, it would be a seamless transition. You should use base workflows to get started, and then you can adjust them as you use them. Workflows will help the processes become more automated and help you become more capable of doing each step. They will also help cut down on troubleshooting efforts. Having a file structure, taking a layered approach with standards, and limiting software versions will help cut back and organize your chaos. Standards and workflows may never be perfect, but they will help guide us in creating projects that are consistently set up. They also ease the work sharing process. Being able to find everything easily and following the standards will allow us to spend less time on project setup and keep us on track as we focus on our design work. Thank you for attending this presentation.
Okay, great. So I see some people raising their hand. Vivek, I'm going to try to unmute your line. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And whoops, let's see. Vivek, you are self-muted. Oh, it looks like you've unraised your hand, so okay. How about Graham Scott? I'm going to unmute your line. Graham Scott, can you speak with us? You're self-muted, so you may have to unmute your line.
All right, there we go. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Perfect.
Hey, thanks very much, Michelle. That was a great presentation. I did have a question.
Thank you.
You mentioned you have multiple offices and you're trying to implement standards across, I'm guessing, the entire firm. So my question was, how do you enforce those standards among multiple offices?
Well, it's kind of hard to enforce them, but we want to make sure that our employees are trained first and foremost on how to use our standards. And then we have the manual and videos to show them how to use them. Another thing, I know within Autodesk itself or AutoCAD, there's a standards checker. So you can at least make sure that things are on the proper layers, things like that. We still are working on some of our standards, so they're constantly changing, but at least to use the standards checker, you can make sure that things are in the proper place. So I don't know if Michelle has anything to add to that.
Yeah, no, I would say the same thing. You really can't enforce standards. You can offer them and I highly encourage it. But if people are refusing, then you have to take managerial actions. And that's really from firm to firm what you're going to do to get your people to do that. But I think the very first thing is training, just like Michelle said. So great question, Graham.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, Sarah. I might say your name wrong, Gildlinger. So Sarah, your line is now unmuted. Are you able to speak?
Yeah, you certainly don't have to try my last name, Skydlinger. I'm working for a civil engineering firm in Canada, Ontario, Canada. And just further to Graham's question, we've had a lot of luck with the trainer becomes the quality control person. So as part of checking to see if the drawings are correct, etc., we're going into CAD and seeing if the standards are being followed. And only after a few weeks to months, you can pass that person off to just start doing their work on their own. And we've had a lot of luck with that. Also, loving this presentation. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
She did a fabulous job. Yes, thank you, Sarah. Okay, Mewash Abbas, I've unmuted you.
Hi, I wanted to first off thank you for this topic because we run into the same thing over and over here. One thing that I found is helpful is we have a smaller committee of representatives for each location to kind of help as the propagators of the standard, or they're like the point of contact. If anybody has questions about the standards, they can ask that person, and then we get together on a regular basis just to review the standards and update them as per our different locations require. So just wanted to put that out there.
That's a great idea. Yes. You definitely want to make sure that your users are involved in creating the standards just so that they buy into them more. And also you want to make sure you have a consensus when you create this as much as possible. It's not going to be 100%
right. And in addition to the users, we found that we need like the project managers buy-ins because they're the ones that influence a lot of things. So.
And even higher than that, your organizational board that's running the company, you might want their buy-in as well. So.
Right. But thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you. All right, let's go to the next one. We've got another minute, so let's go to Joe Jacoby.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. Thank you. This is a fantastic topic. I've been a project manager and an AutoCAD manager for probably the last 20 to 30 years. And I have to reiterate, it is absolutely essential for management to buy in. Because without management support, in the first company I worked with, I did not have management support, even though my immediate supervisor was my support. And he says, great, we had 14 offices across 4 states. Fantastic. But we didn't have the company support. And it's imperative that the company support AutoCAD management. Because without that, like you said, you have rogue draftsmen going, I know it's better than you. And we all know that AutoCAD does things many different ways, but it has to look the same coming out of different offices from the same company.
Agreed.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. So thank you, Joe. Excellent. All right, time is up on that topic. So let me go ahead and stop my timer. And
I'm going to hop off video.
Yes, same. I will stop my video so that we don't interfere. And let me start sharing the, let me go ahead and introduce the last topic. So I love that you guys voted on these 3 topics because I think it all starts with training and then setting your standard. and then living up to that standard. So awesome order. You guys did a great job of picking the right topics, I think. So let me go ahead and share the living up to the standard video. And Michelle, let me know if you can see that.
I see the splash screen.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to play, and hopefully, without any luck, we won't have any issues this time. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Michelle Hood, and I'm going to discuss the need for standards in our projects, and I'll provide examples of what could go wrong without them. Why do we need standards? I could go on forever, but don't worry, we have set standards for this presentation, so I'm going to keep it under 5 minutes. Standards provide us with guidance in how to set up construction projects. They also provide us with project components and a set common language to keep things more uniform throughout the life cycle of a project. Standards keep us in line. If they're not set in place before the beginning of a project, people go off in all different directions. Some people may make their own standards to suit their needs. Even worse, they may create new projects using older ones. They may use a template that worked for one client, but does not align with the current client's needs. It is important to have a baseline company standard in place to prevent these practices. Otherwise, everyone puts their own artistic spin on things and there's no consistency. There's no branding. Without standards, drawings can look like they came from different companies. Our clients should be able to look at drawings and know who did them without question. Creating a sense of branding will give project drawings a more professional look across the board. Standards set a strong foundation for our projects. Without them, we end up chasing down problems and then we have to spend time fixing those errors. Some of these problems include using different callouts for drawing views that do not match, using different fonts throughout the project, and not knowing the location of a file because it was stored in a different file location. If we build a great set of standards, we can use this foundation as a basis for other client standards. Having standards in place will help acclimate new employees to project setup. They will also provide new and existing staff with a place to start if a client doesn't have standards in place already. The guidelines we set help us hit the ground running with any project and help make it easier to collaborate and work share across multiple offices. Once everyone's trained on how to use our standards, they get more comfortable with the process. The use of the standards components will become more automated over time. With improved efficiency comes improved workflow, which saves your company time and money. For example, every time you start a new project, you're going to save time that would have been spent creating those standards. You'll save time throughout the project, easily finding any of the drawing components that you need to get the work done. There are other major problems that can arise without standards aside from the ones already mentioned. These issues can hurt the bottom line of a project. With proper project setup, we can avoid the following challenges. One example is a project I'd worked on in my design days. It was for a nearby airport. They had their own CAD standards for 2D design work, but they did not have standards for using Civil 3D. We were told to hit the ground running with the project, and I quickly let the project manager know we didn't have anything in place for starting a Civil 3D project from our client. Luckily, I had recently created a set of standards for my former department, and I was able to use those standards as a basis for the airport project. If I did not already have those in place, could you imagine how much time it would have taken to create them? Even though I saved time in that airport project, since they didn't have standards completely in place, we had to spend time adjusting for the new standards, which cut into the project budget. If we just started working without the standards, we would have thrown away even more money because without standards, work is done less efficiently. When you spend time looking through old files to find details, you're wasting both time and money. This is considered bad practice. Having things like details, blocks, templates, and title blocks already produced will cut down on the duplication of work. Details that are made ahead of time streamlines the process and improves the quality of the work that your company sends out the door. With standards already in place, your projects will have a consistent look and feel, and you will spend less time fixing up basic drawing setup. After standards are used for a while, the cost of time spent creating them is minimal compared to the cost of not having them at all. Once standards are in place, collaboration across offices and disciplines becomes an easier task. You can pick up with standards and start projects with minimal questions and without wasting time on setup. Having standards in place improves performance, improves efficiency, and reduces training time. This in turn will increase the profits on your projects. Thank you for attending this presentation.
Excellent. Okay. Well, great job, Michelle. I think a lot of people really resonated with what you were saying. And so we had a few questions I thought were really great that came into the chat that I'd love to start with those. Now I've got to scroll up to them now. We are always, I like this from Felicia. We say that our standards are living and breathing. I love that comment because, yeah, you've got to keep adjusting your standards to new technology and to new standards that you have to meet for the municipalities or approving agencies. Michelle, do you have anything to add on that?
You just make sure you revisit them every so often, and like you said, keep them up to date with the changing technology. The software from Autodesk seems to be changing yearly. They're coming up with new things to make us more efficient. So just make sure you try to incorporate those things into your standards. And yeah, can't think of anything else to add on top of that. So
excellent. All right. Well, and oops, I forgot to start my timer for this. I'll start it now. Here we go. Okay. Samuel Lucido, it's great to see you on here. Samuel says, check out my class on the CAD Standards Manager. So I love that he's promoting his class in here. Definitely check that out. Sam is one of the instructors that has created some content in the Customer Success Learning Hub. So that's a great place to go look for content, and definitely go check out his class. All right, and Dan Calvin says, is there a link for best practices for BIM, Civil 3D, GIS for file standards? Ooh, that is a really great question. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. Michelle, do you know of any places right off the top of your head?
Say that one more time. I want to hear the question.
Yeah, so he asks, is there a link for best practices for BIM, Civil 3D, and GIS for file standards?
I believe there's someone for BIM and well, at least for BIM, I know you have BIM's standards, and then National CAD Standards is starting, I think, to incorporate some. There are best practices at the end of the National CAD Standards. You can also find best practices on Autodesk.com, I believe. So just look into those. If you Google best practices BIM, you should be able to find something. So
yeah, a lot of great information out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the standards will vary by country as well. And since this is a global event, I mean, I don't think I have one answer for you to go to. So, but I will do some research and try to find a couple different standards from a couple different countries and include those in the email follow-ups that you'll get after this meeting. Jeffrey Howell, I'm going to unmute your line. What question do you have or comment? And Jeffrey, I'm not hearing you. You might have like a headset with a mute on it, possibly. Okay, not working. All right, let's go to Jessica then. Jessica Malek-Willard?
Yes. So I work for the Port of Houston Authority, and I'm actually their GIS technician, but I'm also the CAD SME. So I have been tasked with rewriting their CAD standards that was originally written back in 2013. Since it was done back in 2013, they pretty much dismissed their in-house CAD staff and have no real engineering department before my time of coming there. They outsource all of their engineering work for the port to consultants. the problem is that they let the consultants do pretty much whatever they want, and there's no real consistency between the projects. And I've been trying to, I guess, stress to them the importance of using the CAD standard. Even if they use the current CAD standard, the 2013 CAD standards, it does still follow the national CAD standards as far as the layer setups and everything like that.
Okay.
But I can't get them to use it. And it's
Let me
really
tell you something
frustrating
I
to me.
did. So I used to work for the city of Sandy here in Utah, and I was in their public works approving department. And part of my job was to release the, it wasn't liens, what was it? The bonds. So whenever a project was done, they had to take a bond out and you know, pay a certain amount. And when the project was done and signed off by the inspector, we would release those bonds back to the company. And we wouldn't release the bond unless they gave us the CAD files following the standard. I don't know if you have any kind of leverage like that, but that might be a way to do it.
I actually don't. I don't work in the same. What's bad is I work in the asset management division of the Port of Houston.
Mm-hmm.
PCM is a different. We're all under infrastructure, but PCM is a different department than asset management.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, getting the project managers in our PCM department to use the CAD standards has been like banging my head up against a wall, because it makes my job of you know, CAD to GIS integration that much harder, especially when they don't get the CAD files for me to be able to upload the information into GIS.
Yeah, maybe see if you can work with your finance department. I mean, obviously you're paying them to do the work somehow, some way, and getting that financial leverage might be the ticket. I know that sounds horrible, but that would be where I would try to form those internal partnerships with either, you know, the department that's hiring them or the finance department that's paying them. But
okay.
One thing I'd add is you want that manager buy-in. They can help you reinforce the standards with the client or the subconsultant. If you provide them a template to start with, then and tell them they have no choice to use it, then they will start to comply. Also, if you put it in a monetary sense, you could say, sorry, I lost my train of thought. You could say, you know, this will make us more efficient. I'm going and changing everybody's errors, and I'm spending time and money. So if you can reinforce the people so that they use the standards, then I'm not wasting all this time and money, and you make more profit off of this project. So maybe you can put it in terms of finances, kind of along the same line as Michelle saying, talk to the accounting.
Also, the BIM to CAD or the BIM to GIS integration, Esri has been working on a workflow for that. So you might check with Esri. They just had a user conference back in July, and I believe there was a session dealing with that subject.
And there are sessions at AU on that subject as well, because we have a partnership with Esri. We recognize that the two companies together really give you the power to track and know exactly what you have in your projects. So I hate to cut you off.
Okay.
Sorry, I do hate to cut you off. We are at time. Actually, we are 4 minutes over time.
Oh, no.
So I want to take just a moment to thank Michelle so much for pulling these 3 different videos together. I thought it was wonderful that you had the courage to submit your topics, and then when everyone voted, your topics were the ones selected. So congratulations, Michelle. Great job.
Thank you.
Huge round of applause for her. Please definitely look me up. I am going to be mediating or moderating the roundtable on Thursday. The session ID is on the screen. I'd love to see you in that session. It is the first 75, so the first 75 people are the ones that get in. But if you are using the collaboration with Civil 3D, we hope to see you there. Otherwise, find us next month in the meetups. You'll get a link to the registration page for that in your email, along with the recording of this. And we'll hope to see you next month in our civil engineering meetup in December. So thank you everyone so much for your time. Your time is valuable, and I'm so thankful that you chose to spend it with us. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a good day.